Welcome to Milestone Moments, the show where we explore the journeys that lead to success. I'm Sheila Slick, your host and founder of 5 Milestones. In every episode, we will bring you insights from the minds of entrepreneurs, leaders, and experts who will share not just their expertise, but the milestone moments that have reshaped their journeys and led to significant achievements. So if you're looking for motivation, you're in the right place. Subscribe now and discover the milestones that mark the path to success. Welcome to another episode of Milestone Moments in Business and Leadership. I'm Sheila Slick, your host, and today, my special guest is the one and only Nancy Zare, Ph.D., also known as the Sales Whisperer. She is the creator of the Likability Sales System. She's renowned for her focus on buyers, where she shows professional business owners how to generate warm, organic leads on LinkedIn and turn them into clients. She earned her master's and doctorate from Boston College, and Nancy has authored 7 books, including an Amazon International bestseller. Nancy resides in Florida and is currently a student of spirituality. She also volunteers for the Farm Dog Rescue and the Immerman Angels. Welcome to the show, Nancy.
Sheila, I cannot wait to dive in and work and tell people about milestone moments in business.
And leadership, because you're both.
That's true. That's true.
And what I love about you, other than your personality, you're definitely a likability. I give you 100, even though we haven't gotten into the term, but you have a signature style.
Oh, thank you. It's true. For those who might just be listening, it's because I always wear a hat. Entrepreneurs wear many hats, leaders wear many hats, but the one they often dislike the most is that marketing and sales piece. And as a leader, it's that communicating, especially with someone who is challenging.
I'm not challenging, Nancy. I'm kidding.
No, I know. You and I are buddies. We don't need to challenge each other for sure.
All right, so let's talk about how you went from earning a master's and doctorate at Boston College to becoming the sales whisperer, helping business owners master their organic lead generation on LinkedIn. What was that pivotal moment in your journey that sparked this transition?
Sheila, it started when I received financial funding from the government to pay for my graduate studies. And they wanted me to implement mental health services, addiction programs in the workplace. It was an excellent match for somebody studying psychology. And also, I came with a very strong addiction background. I had already published in the field. So this was a great match. It wasn't until I graduated that I discovered that in order to implement these programs required selling, marketing and selling. And I was ill-equipped for doing this. Now, if you're like me, I had this foggy notion about salespeople as being aggressive, pushy, manipulative. In other words, I didn't want to be a salesperson in the usual sense. And so I went back to school, not to get a degree, to the library in order to read up on the masters of sales. And what I discovered, Sheila, is that my knowledge of human behavior, personality styles, was complemented beautifully by something called the platinum rule. Now, do you know the golden rule?
I don't know the golden or the platinum rule, so let's talk about that.
Well, the golden rule, of course, is from, Christian, Judeo-Christian tradition, which is treat others the way I want to be treated. It's a very humane way to begin. The platinum rule twists it just a little bit. Treat others the way they want to be treated. It's a subtle shift, but it was miraculous because within 90 days, I had quadrupled sales. Just by implementing that focus not on me as a seller, but on you as the buyer. And by understanding how buyers buy and speaking their language, we formed a very authentic connection. The relationship then went on to do business together. So that was a pivotal moment for me to find that I received funding from the government, didn't know how to sell, and found myself having to learn how to sell.
And so then what happened with all those studies, and did you move forward with the grant or you just switched careers, so to speak?
The funding was for me to complete my degrees, which I did. I got my degree, and then I was hired by Mount Auburn Hospital in Cambridge, Mass. They had an external program that they were offering to the businesses in the greater Boston community, and that is to have occupational health and employee assistance services. And I headed up employee assistance, and that's when I found myself in the position to market and sell without knowing how to do so in what I considered a ethical value way that was aligned with who I am. Again, many of us, especially those of you who perhaps have gotten an advanced degree or a license or certification, you have an expertise in that occupational area and you love what you do. I certainly loved what I did. But nobody taught you how to market and sell your services, even though many of us, I think 90% of my classmates, went on to be independent consultants. Nobody taught us how to do it. And hence, I was a fish out of water.
Your sales system is called a likability sales system. And like you mentioned, you flip the script by focusing on the buyer rather than on the seller. So, how do you blend that deep understanding of human behavior that you got in a practical strategy that can help business owners to connect and to convert authentically?
So notice the system is called unlikability, not likability. Likability is, being popular. Unlikability is a word I coined. And so if I may, I'm going to define what that word means. It's a feeling of thought, a perception within your prospect, within the other person that, wow, what you're saying tells me you get me, we're alike. Feeling alike, feeling like we're of the same type is amazing because it actually speaks to the unconscious part of the brain, what you might call the brain or the reptilian brain, that unconsciously is driving the bus. We don't even know that it's the bus driver, but it will not admit passengers onto the bus unless it believes that that passenger is friendly and like me. And so that part of our brain, when we are meeting someone new, is instantaneously, without our conscious knowledge, making a decision whether we are friend or foe. And so when it admits us on the bus as a friend, now we have the opportunity to develop a relationship. Otherwise, Sheila, we're sunk. We don't even we don't get it past the bus door. We can't even mount the steps to take a ride.
What I really like too about your approach is that you begin with like a quiz where we had to answer questions. And then there's different types of personalities or personas. How does that work?
Yes. So the likability system, there are 5 steps to it. Step number 1 is to identify 4 different buying styles, personality styles. I call them buyers because, of course, I'm focused on helping people sell, but they are personality styles. And everybody is a combination of all 4. However, 30% of the population, one of those styles is so dominant that that is how they respond to everything socially and professionally, that's their style. But do the math. 70% of the population, 70% of the population go between 2 or more styles. Hence, they start off socially in one style. But when you ask them a decision to be made from the business point of view, they may be making it from a totally different style. This is what I help my clients learn and discover so that they can employ it to their best interests. And what I mean by that is when you know your prospect styles, now you can speak the language of your prospect. It's like switching from English to French or Chinese or whatever it might be in order to help my prospect understand me better. And when I switch into their language, that's when the likability happens and they say to themselves, oh, you get me. We're alike.
And then that also gives confidence, right? Because it makes you feel like you've been trained, like you know what you're doing, which takes you back to that very original part. Consultants end up with a lot of experience in their field, but not necessarily in how to market and sell themselves. So,
I'm so glad you recognize that element of confidence because confidence sells. Years ago, Sheila, like many people, I was approached by a multi-level company, a representative. They had a product I really wanted. And I not only decided to buy the product, but I bought in at the distributor level. And so many of us have found ourselves in that situation where we were enticed thinking, oh, this is so easy. I love the product. Everybody's going to buy the product and I'm going to have this downline, etc. Well, I share this because, first of all, I had only moderate success in my venture in multi-level marketing. And by the way, those products are excellent. And these companies are really quality companies. What I learned, though, which I didn't quite learn entirely, was that the people who were successful had posture. In fact, they actually used that word posture. Now, I knew it wasn't standing tall with the book balanced on your head, and yet I didn't exactly know how you get posture. And it turns out, Sheila, that posture and confidence are very much the same. When you feel good about yourself, in fact, you even just immediately took a breath, your shoulders went back, you stood taller. That's what confidence does for you. It does change your posture and it communicates vibrationally on an energetic way to the other people who are your audience that this is a woman or man who's got an answer that they believe in. You see, confidence is really a transmission of energy. And in this case, that's what sales is all about. I'm exchanging my service or my product for your energy, which in this case might be monetary, or maybe we do in kind or whatever. But there's an exchange of energy going on. And when when I'm exuding good energy, you want it. You want to have a bit of it for yourself.
so as a 7-time author, including being that international Amazon bestseller, and a volunteer for causes like the Farm Dog Rescue, you've clearly mastered balancing purpose and impact. So, how do you stay focused in your own work, especially when you're helping others?
It's called lifelong learning and always have a beginner's mind. You see, when I think I know, that's probably the kiss of death. And yet, obviously, I have gained some wisdom. I'm certainly, lived on this planet now so many decades. I have wisdom, and yet I have to keep that beginner's mind and approach each new situation. In fact, even the same person, like our conversation is fresh and new and vibrant. And I will tell you, Sheila, I've been a podcast guest on many programs, but the questions you've asked and the information I've shared today, it's unique. It's not and those of you who are in the listening audience, if you care to, you can go listen to other podcasts where I've been a guest. You will not find this information on them. And some of that is because of the questions you asked, and some of that is because I've brought a different energy because I keep evolving. And so you're asking, how does that happen? Well, it happens by continually exposing myself to new ideas, meeting new people, reading new books, listening to podcasts and other material. In other words, it's a constant I take in, I take in, I take in, because I can't give out what I don't have. And so I have to fill myself in order to give to others. And I love giving to others. I believe that's my purpose on earth, is to serve. But in order to serve, I have to be full. Otherwise, I'm giving you the dregs, and I don't want to do that.
Well, thank you. I do take a lot of time researching the person and what they do so that my questions align with what I want to do at the podcast. And then what makes you unique so that we can bring out some of those parts in the conversation. So thank you, Nancy. Now I want to know, what's your next milestone?
So there are many milestones, personally as well as professionally. Something near and dear to my heart, though, is to be a philanthropist. But to be a philanthropist means to accumulate enough funds to make a significant difference. And so that would be my next milestone. I would love to create a healing center. I believe that our minds are powerful tools and that the mind can heal the body. Christian Science, no, I'm not one, but I understand their philosophy. A Course in Miracles, I'm a student of A Course in Miracles. Very much it's about how this materialistic world is illusionary, etc. Well, there are many kinds of spiritual practices that have come into me. I would love to share them more with others. And so my next milestone would be to create some sort of institution, although that word right away strikes terror to me because it feels too restrictive, but there must be some way for me to share more with people. I certainly take very seriously my role as a role model. I truly believe that I need to live it and walk it and not just talk it.
Well, thank you for sharing it and out loud, because you know what they say, when you vocalize it, you're, making that vision one step closer. So
I agree with you.
I'm excited you shared it. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Nancy.
I couldn't be more thrilled, and I hope, listeners, that you got some value of it. If nothing else, I hope that you're inspired to think about your own milestones. We've all had them in our lives. I've had many, and I suspect there are more to come. And as I always say, to your sales success.
I will leave Nancy's information on the description in the notes so you can visit her website, perhaps even take the quiz if you are a coach or a consultant.
The quiz is called Who is Your Ideal Client? And we really didn't talk a lot about that, but I want you to think for a moment that until you know who it is that is your dream client, who you truly want to serve, you're going to be floundering. But once you dial in who that person is and you know with certainty what their personality style is, now you can speak their language and now you're able to build rapport and create a likability.
And the website, if you want to spell it out.
It's nancyzare.com. So as long as you spell my last name correctly, you'll get there. Nancy, Nancyz, for zestful, ARE.com.
Thank you. And thank you all for joining us on another episode of Milestone Moments in Business and Leadership. Until next time.